Many Naruto fans know Kakashi as the calm and collected ninja who can often be seen reading his favorite book seemingly without a care in the world. However, during the era of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, Kakashi has encountered a situation that both makes him rethink his legacy as Hokage, as well as causes his blood to boil in anger as he sees the threat quickly approaching Konoha. Though he's no longer the Hokage and he's currently a retired ninja, Kakashi takes it upon himself to deal with the threat that's coming to the Land of Fire. In today's edition of Kakashi Resident, we're going to take a look at the moment during Kakashi's S-rank mission to find a cure for Naruto's deadly chakra illness that Kakashi both revealed his plan for the future of Konoha and the Land of Fire, as well as the moment that Kakashi displayed a quiet rage that should have struck fear in the hearts of whoever met his gaze. Now, during this time, Naruto has become ill with the deadly chakra illness that not even the Sage of Six Paths was able to avoid falling victim to. As a result, Kakashi traveled for over 30 days non-stop to the land of Radaku to find Naruto's cure, with Sasuke and Sakura both leaving for a separate area in that country in the time after Kakashi arrived in Radaku. It's after Kakashi learns of the pending invasion of the Land of Fire and the eventual inevitable war against Konoha that Kakashi takes a page right out of Fugaku Uchiha's book. Just as Fugaku saw potential in 4-year-old Itachi and took him to the battlefield towards the end of the Third Great Ninja War in hopes of making Itachi awaken his Sharingan after seeing the horrors of war up close, so too did Kakashi do something similar with Prince Nanaar, who was the rightful ruler of Radaku. Up until this point, Nanaar refused to take up his mantle of king, opting to live in his own fantasy world far away from the capital where he could play games and disregard his studies, which in turn allowed the prime minister to make a power grab and push the country toward war in the Land of Fire. Knowing that Nanaar should be able to use the tool that was created by the Sage of Six Paths, Kakashi grabs the young boy, changing his royal clothes into those more fitting of a commoner. Kakashi sneaks Nanaar out of the palace and through the streets of the capital, where Nanaar sees the bodies of dead people lining the streets, their bodies already turned black from rotting in the harsh heat. He shows Nanaar the villagers, who have lost so much weight that their skin is sagging in some cases, and small children are less than half their ideal body weight. They survive by roasting lizards and bugs that they find in the streets. There isn't much food, but what little food they do have, the elderly share with the youngest of children, knowing that while their time might soon be over, at the very least the youngest among them still have a chance to live another day if they're able to eat. It's during the time that Kakashi runs across a young girl that he once fed and used water release to give her water to drink that Kakashi's rage begins to build. He'd been sneaking through the nearby villages, refilling their water tanks and healing those who had injuries via the medical ninjutsu that he knows, despite the prime minister hearing the rumors of his activities and growing suspicious of Kakashi. The young girl had been beaten severely and had the jewel that Nanaar gave her as a way to sell for food. The older men in the village, they broke her nose and they took the jewel. It's in this moment that Kakashi both reflects on how he has an undisclosed goal for Konoha and his anger towards the prime minister builds. So like always, what I'll do now that the context has been set for the scene, I'm gonna begin reading the quote from the novel, and it's here I'm gonna begin quoting. Adults and children were struggling all over to get water. Nanaar was looking away from the dead bodies in the street, which were extremely thin. In addition, because of the dry climate, many of them looked like they'd been a mummy rather than rotted, but there were flies swarming all around them. The surviving residents were surely in trouble because of the disposal of these corpses. Clay coffins are used in the country of Radaku, but it takes a lot of effort to build them, effort that requires strength that these people didn't have. Individuals, they get heavier when they die. Kakashi knows from the weight of recovered corpses, the weight of many of his comrades that he had once carried on his back. Kakashi never wanted to feel like that ever again. This is why Kakashi, as the sixth Hokage, promoted the development of Konoha. There were times where he was criticized because he ignored the traditional norms, but Kakashi never wanted to repeat the era of war. It's peace that he wanted to last forever. That's what Kakashi wanted and continued to do as the sixth Hokage. Even though Kakashi is no longer the Hokage, one day when the role of the Hokage and feudal lord disappeared, the orderly society will still continue. Hopefully a system that will never fall into war. That was the way his dead best friend Obito wanted him to survive, as he told Kakashi to become the Hokage. He was desperate because he wanted to bring his friend's dream to a reality, a dream without war. The existence of Obito and what his life meant was the reason that Kakashi kept fighting for a long time. Now it's a guide for him moving forward. Even though he's no longer the Hokage, Hokage, it still pushes him forward. It will be a long time before he's able to meet Obito and Rin and his sensei Minato, but he wanted to live a life that when he finally did meet them, they could be proud of him. That's why he couldn't overlook the current state of Rendaku that was happening right in front of him. And also, there was the matter of Naruto, unable to use chakra, trapped in the land of fire, utterly helpless. A thin young girl stood in front of Kakashi. Kakashi met her during the first day he came to Rendaku, and it was also the girl that Nanaru gave the jewel to. Her nose was bleeding profusely, dried blood was on her chin. It seemed like she'd been beaten up. The girl offered a wooden basket in her hands to Kakashi, begging for water. Kakashi molded some of his chakra and poured water with it in his left hand. While doing so, he touched the girl's face tenderly with his right hand, and he began using medical ninjutsu. His technique, it wasn't perfect, but it was enough to ease her pain. Kakashi turned to Prince Nanaru and looked him in the eyes. Nanaru, do you understand what happens when you give a person, just one person, a jewel that valuable in a country like this where thousands of people are hungry? She's just a child. She's small. She's weak. Did you really think she could survive with something so valuable? Nanaru, upon hearing Kakashi's words, noticed what he did, began to tremble with the realization. Kakashi put his hands on Nanaru's shoulders, and Nanaru grabbed Kakashi's fingers, all while Kakashi trembled in rage. End quote. So the one thing that should stand out here is the fact that Kakashi came to the same conclusion that Itachi did in the Itachi Daylight novel, where a 6-year-old Itachi planned on how to use the Hokage position to do away with the ninja system altogether, remove the Kage, remove the feudal lord structure, and eventually do away with war. Kakashi came to this conclusion after the time Obito died during the 4th Great Ninja War and before he formally became the 6th Hokage. He ignored traditions and wanted to prepare the world for a day when the Hokage position was no longer needed, but the foundation of peace and order had already been put in place, so society can function without having a Hokage or a feudal lord, both of which are able to lead the country into war. What he saw in Rendaku, it threatened all of that. He took Nanaru to the streets of the capital to show him what happens when a king refuses to serve his people. Nanaru was the rightful king and would be the only person who could stop war from coming to Konoha. Kakashi does say something very important, that the prime minister is wrong. If the land of fire is threatened, there are powerful ninja who can protect the land of fire, even if the current Hokage is vulnerable. He even goes as far as to say that any threat coming to Konoha will be erased in an instant, and that if need be, the 6th Hokage will likely join the battle, stating that the 6th Hokage is a lot stronger than people give him credit for. What's really important here is that Kakashi has now found the threat to the land of fire. He's put a bug into the rightful ruler's ear, and he's now in the position to start positioning things to start a coup d'etat to restore the power to those who rightfully deserve it. The only issues that he doesn't know are where the queen's loyalties truly stand. There's a growing chance that he's gonna have to fight 50 highly skilled ninja alone, and he must contend with doing all of this during a time where each day that passes without having a cure, Naruto is one breath closer to death. Unknown to Kakashi is the fact that in another part of Rendaku, where Sasuke and Sakura are searching for Naruto's cure, there's a new type of Edo Tensei that's been created, which combined with the growing number of mercenary ninja could potentially be used in a war against the land of fire. It's a race against time to find Naruto's cure, and the stakes continue to build. However, that's gonna be it for this latest installment of Kakashi Resident. I'll make sure to be back with another installment soon, but as always guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day guys.